The New York Knicks fall to the Los Angeles Lakers in overtime, a game that they once led by more than 10 points. But the fourth quarter choke job and the overtime collapse is really just not important at this moment. Jalen Brunson had to leave the game in overtime with what looked like a pretty severe ankle injury. I'm not sure what it was, but it was not good. He couldn't barely even walk off under his own power before he had to be assisted by his teammates and his dad and members of the Knicks training staff. And I don't want to speculate on this injury, but this doesn't seem like one that Jalen Brunson's just going to wake up tomorrow and feel great. I don't necessarily think it's a long-term injury, but it's definitely going to be multiple games, and it could be multiple weeks. And any games you have to play without Jalen Brunson at this point forces Tom Thibodeau to be an offensive-minded head coach because he can't just write Jalen Brunson on the whiteboard. And that scares the shit out of me, just like Jalen Brunson being hurt. Because if you don't got this guy, if you don't have the captain, you are in serious trouble. Prayers up to Jalen Brunson. Show him some love in the chat. Left the game with what looked like an ankle injury and did not return. He stayed into the game to shoot his free throws after being fouled, made both in a clutch spot, but had to leave to go to the locker room. And did not return. So, not ideal on that front. Hopefully he's all right. He was awesome. He hit 39 and I think 10 today for Jalen Brunson. I mean, big bucket after big bucket all day long. It's the only thing Tom Thibodeau has in his bag at this point is I'm going to say, Jalen Brunson, take me home. And you know what? It's not the worst plan. It's not, because Jalen Brunson's the clutchest bucket getter in the NBA right now. But just because it works more often than not doesn't mean it's the only thing you can do. And ultimately, that's why the New York Knicks lost this ball game. Their shot selection down the stretch of this game in the fourth quarter and overtime is why you blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead. We start overtime with two Deuce McBride contested pull-up mid-range jumpers. We then get a campaign three. And then after that, it was Jalen Brunson ISO after Jalen Brunson ISO and then Jalen Brunson ISO. And you know what? He converted enough of them to put us in a spot where the Knicks had the ball with 9 seconds left. Game was tied. Ball in the front court. An opportunity for Tom Thibodeau to drop an offensive play to win the game for his team. You know what that Knicks shot was? Well, they didn't even shoot the ball. They couldn't even get a shot off. The play that Tom Thibodeau drew up didn't even result in a shot. Yeah. As Tom Thibodeau says, a lot of tough plays. We couldn't get to a loose ball. Yep, that's why you lost tonight, Tibbs. You couldn't get to a loose ball. What about shooting 39% from the field as a team? How about that, Tibbs? How about shooting 23% from three? How about that being the reason you lost the game? How about when the game was tied with 9 seconds left, not being able to draw up a play that results in a shot being the reason you lost? Or what about in overtime? When you were down by 2, out of a timeout, your last one in overtime, you drew up a play that resulted in Miles McBride being the only person to touch the ball for the Knicks for 20 seconds. He dribbled, and he dribbled, and he dribbled, and he dribbled. And then he dribbled and dribbled and dribbled for 20 seconds. And then he threw up a contested shot. The two most important offensive plays of the game, coming out of timeouts, resulted in 0 shots on goal in regulation and a Deuce McBride 20-second ISO step-back contested 2. But hey, the reason you lost, Tibbs, is because you couldn't get to a loose ball. You should be ashamed. You should have walked to that podium and say, I lost us the game. I did not give my team a fighting chance to win. Because they put the team, not me, Tibbs. I'm speaking for you. I, Tom Thibodeau, didn't put the Knicks in position to win. They got themselves in position to win, and you know what you did? 9 seconds left. No shot. Did a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. Deuce McBride pull up 2. But hey, yeah, it's because you didn't get a loose ball. Take some responsibility. Take some responsibility. You lose the same games, the same ways, all the time. Not being able to put up enough points. The Knicks this year are now 0-9 against the top 2 seeds in each conference. They are 0-2 versus the Lakers. They are 0-2 versus the Thunder. They are 0-3 versus the Celtics. And you're 0-2 versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And in those ball games, you haven't been able to score points. You haven't been able to score points. In all of these games but one, in 8 of the 9 games, you did not score more than 109 points. You did score 112 points against the Lakers back in February, but you lost 128 to 112. So some garbage points there. So in 9 games versus the top teams, you broke more than 109 points one time. Like, you have turned Mikal Bridges into Frank Ntilikina. He's a corner boy. He is a corner boy, Tom Thibodeau. You took a man that averaged 6 free throws in a season with the Brooklyn Nets to a man that has shot less than 20 free throws in his last 21 games. We have Frank Ntilikina 2.0, but for 5 first-round picks. Tom Thibodeau should be fired. OG, I thought was really good today. I thought OG competed his tail off. I thought he fucking battled. I thought Josh Hart was terrible in the first quarter, and I thought he was awesome the rest of the game. Josh, just please shoot the open shots, bro. Like, if you miss it, you miss it. But usually I've learned after watching you now for a year and a half, 2 years. 2 years on this. You've been on this team now for 2.5 years. When you shoot and don't think, you're a great shooter. But when you think and you doubt yourself, you look like an unconfident shooter out there. To the millions of Knicks fans out there, just shoot the open 3. You're going to make it 38% of the time. Please shoot it. Another loss to another top team. I mean, I don't know how many times you could listen to the same song and do the same dance before you say, I want to try something else. It just doesn't make sense. And now your team is hurt. Your team is hurt now, Jalen Brunson. See if there's any updates on Twitter on Brunson. I'm not seeing any. Think about it like this from Fred Katz. The Knicks' end-of-game offense is Brunson. Brunson. And more Brunson. His usage rate is 3 times any of the other stars during clutch time this season. Three. And you know what? That's how good he is. Because he can make it look doable. Just because you got Peyton Manning doesn't mean you have to throw the football every time. How about you come up with 2 really good game plans, and then you make them respect you in multiple ways? Jalen Brunson is awesome. He's the best New York Knick of my lifetime. But asking him to be the only source of offense in the clutch is going to come to bite you at the worst times. And we saw that today. Tom Thibodeau on Jalen Brunson says he's being examined. I haven't spoken with him. He was back with the medical staff. I'll get updated later when I get back. Why give Cat $61 million and give up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges if you're not going to even ask them to play basketball in the most important possessions of the game? Because Karl Anthony Towns did what I did and what you did and what producer Brett Alpert did in the fourth quarter and overtime. Sat, watched, and prayed Jalen Brunson made contested mid-range 2s. That's coaching. That's coaching. And until the coaching changes, and I don't mean the way Tom Thibodeau coaches, I mean the guy who is the Knicks head coach, you'll be what you are. A really good regular season team that comes up short against top teams and falls short in the playoffs. Make sure you are following me on social media. When we get any information about Jalen Brunson, we're going to do a video on it. So subscribe, turn those notifications on, and get right, JP. We need you.